WWE brought in a boatload of legends to help celebrate this huge milestone for the Red brand, but plenty of current stars were highlighted too. Bayley took on Becky Lynch inside of a steel cage, and the Bloodline held a tribal court for Sami Zayn after some recent missteps. We also saw Bobby Lashley challenge Austin Theory for the United States Heavyweight Championship, and the Usos put the Raw Tag Team Championships on the line against Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day. Let's take a look at everything that happened during tonight's very special Raw is 30 edition of Monday Night Raw. Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, and I am joined, as always, by good old MF, Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting, perhaps, the presence of the Phenom, Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll have him back with us Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness. 30 years ago, WWE, or back when, as it was known, WWF, debuted a brand new show in place of the legendary Primetime Wrestling. A show that they promised would be uncut, uncooked, and uncensored. And here we are 30 years later. It premiered on January 11th, 1993, from the Manhattan Center in Manhattan, New York. Headlined by The Undertaker, squaring off against Damien Demento. And now, Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley for the United States Heavyweight Championship headlined this special show tonight. Tonight was Raw is 30, live from the Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Yellow as MF likes to call it, the home of the NHL's Philadelphia Flyers and NBA's Philadelphia 76ers. And what a night we had tonight, including a first hour for the ages, a first hour that has been met with universal praise on social media here tonight. And let's get it started. We started it off with the immortal one, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan showed up along with his longtime manager and friend, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. And Hogan just basically cut a welcome promo. Unfortunately, there were some microphone issues, unfortunately. But, all it was Hogan basically saying a few words, and that was all. So nothing really to speak of there. And now, this was the segment right here. Originally, this was scheduled to be a Bloodline acknowledgement ceremony where they were going to bring in the Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika, as well as the Head Shrinkers, Rikishi, Fatu, and Samu. But due to travel issues, as well as Rikishi falling under the weather, WWE scrapped this segment and instead gave us the trial of Sami Zayn. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, Sami Zayn. And when all was said and done, Paul Heyman was the prosecutor for Sami Zayn. Showed some moments incriminating Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn says, I have no defense. But someone actually came to his defense. None other, hard to believe, than Jey Uso. Jey Uso came to Sami's aid. And we started it off here with a 2-for-1 deal. We not only had the segment of the tribal court for Sami Zayn, it also led into the match for the Raw Tag Team Championship, as it was the Usos defending against Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day. And the winners of the match in 14 minutes and 5 seconds, and still the Raw Tag Team Champions, it was the Usos. A lot to dive into here. And all I can say is this was the segment of the night. Segments like this are what make WWE different. This was so well done and kept the crowd invested the whole time without anyone throwing a single punch. This segment was the best way to start this show. Sports entertainment and professional wrestling may be synonyms to some, but it's things like this that make them just a little different. This was pure sports entertainment. Roman Reigns sounded like he was either a little sick or trying to do a different voice for some reason. And Jay's video really did a great job showing how much Sami Zayn has done for the bloodline over the last, without a doubt, the segment of the night. And then as far as the tag team title match goes, one of the fights of the night for sure. No doubt about it. I'm giving it a solid 4 for the effort. This was an outstanding match that also fed into the larger story at hand. Everything was done just about perfectly. The first hour of Monday Night Raw tonight, and especially with a show of this magnitude, was devoted to Sami Zayn, and it was the right call. The Usos stayed in the ring instead of leaving and making a second entrance, which is something WWE has actually done before. The way Damian Priest pounced Jimmy Uso and sent him into the announce table looked great. And the dive that Damian Priest hit over the top rope looked fantastic. The Usos caught him perfectly. Question is Jimmy Uso legit hurt? Because you saw it. They threw the X up. That's not trouble. That's not good news. Good old MF Michael Fletcher can attest to that firsthand. He knows that better than anybody. And then Anna Pierce comes out and basically says, "Hey, if he can't go, then you guys have to forfeit. And if you forfeit the Raw Tag Team Championship." But Sami says, "No, I can go. If you let me go, I'll go." And then Adam Pearce is like, "You know what? I did it for Judgment Day in that turmoil match, and well, I'm going to do the same for you. Sami, you're in." And it was Jey Uso and Sami Zayn winning the match and retaining the titles, and they did the 1D. Like I said, a lot of universal praise for this first hour of Raw tonight, and rightfully so. I can honestly say it could end up going down as maybe the best first hour of Monday Night Raw, maybe ever. You could certainly make an argument for it because of all the acclaim it has received here tonight. And I am definitely in that majority here tonight. I can't remember the last time we had a first hour of Raw that started off that incredible. And it was commercial free. This show was done with limited commercials tonight because they did the picture-in-picture a la AEW, what they do for Dynamite and Rampage. So there isn't much. I don't know what else there is to say except segment of the night. To this point, I know we're only a few weeks in, but at this point, this was the segment of the year for WWE. And you follow that up with an equally entertaining Raw Tag Team Championship match that for the effort, I'm going to give 4 stars. And you can certainly make an argument for Fight of the Night on it easily. So there isn't much more for me to say on this. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. What a way to start. Raw is 30 in the Illadelph here tonight. A segment for the ages. The best WWE segment of this year so far. I know, like I said, I know we're only a few weeks in, but that was the best segment. And then you follow it up with an incredible tag team title match that was a 4-star effort. If I overrated it, I don't give a damn. But MF, that first hour has to rank among the best, if not the best ever. Wow.
Oh no, without a doubt. And like you said, the first hour of Monday Night Raw is getting universal praise up and down across the board and everything else. And the one weird thing that I was hearing, and nobody was ever to confirm this or deny this, And supposedly, at first, the rumor that was going around is that the honor for the tribal chief was actually cut by Vince. That supposedly Vince got involved, and that he was the one that actually kiboshed this and led to the trial of Sami Zayn. But that got immediately denied by a number of dirt sheets, a number of different companies came out and is like, no, that's not true. That what happened was Alpha and Sika, their travel schedules did not pan out, and of course, Rikishi himself also was a little under the weather. That was confirmed, so we knew that was probably what led to it. But even though they didn't have it, this was better. This storyline was even better than what we were probably going to get from the thing of the tribal chief. This was riveting television. And the thing was, Paul Heyman, as a prosecutor, well done, laid the facts out, laid everything that he did. Sami Zayn basically was like that he wasn't going to do it, and he was found guilty. He was about to get eliminated until Jey Uso, of all people, stands up and is like, no, wait, hold, tribal chief. We all due respect. I got evidence. I would like to present this on the behalf of the defense, and shows everything that he did, for all the bad that Sami did. He did a lot of good. And yes, he was loyal to the tribal chief. He was loyal to the head of the table. He's been loyal to the bloodline from the beginning to the end. And what he did is basically he laid it out. And that's why even the crowd was behind Jey Uso on that one. And just the crowd noise in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia represents. This made that segment absolutely phenomenal, man. Without a doubt, one of the best segments of the year, one of the best things we've ever seen. And for a special event like Raw is 30, and for them to do it like that was absolutely phenomenal. It was perfect. That's what you wanted it to see. This is why we love Triple H at the helm as the man, as the head of creative. Because I don't think we would ever get any creative stuff like this from any other regime, any other company. This is what they did. They came out, they banged it out. It was a banger. Then we had that fight that was a 4-star match. So it, like you said, the first hour of Monday Night Raw was without a doubt the best start for Monday Night Raw. Raw is 30, and they came out swinging in the first hour. It was absolutely phenomenal. So, Anthony, it's yours.
No competition. That's why. So they don't have Monday Night Football breathing down their necks until September. So
yeah,
I think that might have had something to do with it. And as we move on, I mean, yeah, Heyman. What can you say about Heyman during that segment? I mean, he immediately dismissed the ECW chants, even though I know deep down he appreciated them. And I also loved how he took a shot at the Philadelphia Eagle fans, saying that they were going to get conquered by Brock Purdy. Oh my God, that was so bad. Oh, that was something. So when I heard that Brock Purdy, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, oh, that was so funny. But that's why you gotta love Heyman. He's money on the mics, so forever and always. All right. Moving on from there. All right. You see JBL and Baron Corbin walking backstage, and the Godfather, yes, the Hall of Famer, the Godfather, there he was, and he embraced JBL. We know the history of those two, and and Corbin and he said, "Hey, Baron Corbin's not on our list here," and then he says, "I like to speak to the owner of this establishment. You saw the APA logo. That only meant one thing: Ron Simmons." Yeah, Farouk and Bradshaw back together again, and Corbin gave them both big stacks of money, and they're like, "Yeah, I think we can make room for you." Yeah. So, and all of these various legends at the table. Oh my goodness, just that's something. So, all right, and then LA Knight comes out. LA Knight comes out, cuts a promo. Basically, it was almost like he had a death wish or something like that because he's like, "Hey, come out here, give me a preview of that lights out match." Gong. Oh. For the first time since he took his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame 9 months ago, the new Hall of Famer, the man who headlined the Hall of Fame class last year, The Undertaker, but not as the Dead Man. They brought him back as the American Badass for this segment. And then Bray Wyatt shows up, and yeah, so that's basically all there was to say on that. Man, I mean, it was a MF. I gotta say, it was a fine segment, but was it just me, or were the fans kind of hoping to see the Dead Man Undertaker tonight?
In one way, yes, I get it. I think if it would have been Dead Man to see that theatrics and the thing and his entrance and the whole 9 yards, but the thing is that I don't know. I think it was. I don't mind that it was the American Badass. I don't mind that it was, you know, the Red Devil, Big Evil Undertaker. I think that would have been pretty awesome. It's still pretty awesome to see because it is the Undertaker. But the one thing that everybody's talking about at the end of the night was the fact that Taker and Wyatt, what on earth did Taker say to Wyatt after that little altercation? Because they both looked at each other and he whispered something in his ear. Didn't say anything to the like. It kind of was one of those moments where you're just like, I wish I was a fly on the wall. What did Taker say to Wyatt? Because he said something, and you saw the look in Wyatt's eyes. Like, I don't know. I would love to hear what he said, but I know one thing's for sure. Wyatt and Taker, what could that have meant? And what could that have brought? Because that, my friends, was very interesting.
Yeah. And of course, when you see The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt together like that, I mean, it automatically conjures up the memories of when they battled at WrestleMania 31. And then several months down, about 7 months later, 8 months later, at the Survivor Series for that 25th anniversary of The Undertaker, definitely brought back memories of that. But that's going to be the $1 million question. What did Taker say? I wish Michael Bullock was here because we all know Michael Bullock is fluent in Undertaker. So,
oh yeah.
So I would have loved to have picked his brain on that one, but it is what it is. So we'll have to find out. That's what we all want to know. I don't know if we're ever going to know, but if somebody was to find out what he said, let us know, please. So, but that was fantastic. So, all right. Big all-star legends poker game, and How about this table, MF? You had Baron Corbin, the Alpha Academy, Alundra Blaze, Medusa, and Diamond Dallas Page. Yeah, that's a fun group. I would love to hang out with that crew, especially DDP and Medusa. Oh yeah, and see, when I saw DDP at that table, I immediately thought of when DDP was that Vegas gambling fool that we remember from WCW when he was hanging around with Kimberly and Max Muscle and all of them. I was definitely having memories of that. And Alundra brought, of course, where Alundra goes, her old school women's title that she infamously threw in the trash can on that December 18th, 95 edition of Monday Nitro. That goes with her. So, all right. Unfortunately, we had a disappointment this evening. Remember, we were supposed to have Becky Lynch and Bayley inside of a steel cage? Never happened. The Damage Control beat the you-know-what out of Becky Lynch. And unfortunately, the match never went down. Ugh. Ended up not happening. And it definitely upset the crowd here. No question about it. There are some that said it should have been the main event. The first women's cage match was. So it would have been nice symmetry to put this one in the same spot. However, the way they did this would have been received even worse if it was the main event. And it seems like a lot of trouble to transport and set up the cage and it took a lot of trouble to transport and set up that steel cage just to do that. So definitely the disappointment of the night for sure.
I really wish on Raw 30, you would think a match like that should have gone down. I get why they did the beatdown, but that's one of the rare missteps that was made here tonight on Raw.
Yes.
There hasn't been that many missteps that was done on this show.
No.
That was a major misstep. I mean, they should have at least, if you wanted to give a screwy finish to prolong the storyline, I get it. You could have done that way, but you should have at least given us the fight. I mean, that's the one thing I would have been like, I don't mind if the match would have been a little bit of a screwy finish. I would have given that an okay, but because of the way the match didn't even get off the ground, that was the biggest problem and the biggest glaring what the bleep was that moment of the night.
Exactly. So now we move on. Oh, MF, we're gonna have some fun with this. We're gonna have some fun with this segment. Our boys, D-Generation X. Yes. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg Jesse James, X-Pac, and hello, what's this? Kurt Angle? Yeah, Kurt Angle. That Kurt Angle. Hall of Famer Kurt Angle. It's true. And how about this for another great spot? You know, the Road Dogg doing the old New Age Outlaws shtick is like tag team champions of the world. The Road Dogg Jesse James. What? Kurt Angle? Yeah. Oh, man. Kurt Angle was right there. D-Generation X about to play their old hits. And I know MF's going to like this. They got interrupted. Oh, they got interrupted. And they got interrupted by Imperium. The Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser, Giovanni Vinci, and Imperium basically challenged DX to a fight, but Triple H said, "I'm retired, dude." And Shawn says, "I'm too old." X-Pac says, I got a bad case of shin splits. Road Dogg says, "Yeah, I ain't fooling no one. I'm not fighting anyone." And then the DX members did a little huddle. Of course, if it was me, MF Bullock, and any other member of our brotherhood, it would have been one of our legendary T-Bird huddles. And then he said, "Kurt said he'd fight you." And then Angle said, "Yeah, no." And Triple H was like, "How I wish there was somebody who could come out and fight Imperium." Seth freaking Rollins shows up. Yep. But then X-Pac says, "Hey, there's only one of him. There's three of them." And then the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, show up. And then Triple H said, if there was only someone who could come out here and make sense of the situation, because this booking thing is not easy as it looks. Cue the theme music. You know, it's the Mac Militant.
Come bring it on. Hey, get out of my way.
Oh, yeah. When you hear that it's the Mac, you know it's the Mac Militant. You know who it is. The greatest general manager of all time, Theodore Long, Teddy Long. And he makes the match official. And on top of that, Kurt Angle was the special guest referee. So here you go. 6-man tag team match. Seth Rollins and the Street Profits against the Imperium. Special guest commentator Jerry the King Lawler sitting in with Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves on commentary. And then from there, we had the match. And the winners of the match, 13 minutes and 5 seconds. Seth Rollins and the Street Profits. This ended up being a fun but relatively tame 6-man match. Everyone had their chance to get in and work for a couple minutes, but the main showdown was between Seth Rollins and Gunther. The action definitely picked up after the commercial break. We saw some big dives and a few cool double team spots before Rollins got the win with the curb stomp to Giovanni Vinci. Some of the DX stuff was kind of funny because they all played up how old they are. Bringing out Teddy Long to make the match official was the icing on the cake. Angle wearing 3 shirts just to make the jokes work was pretty funny. Jerry Lawler on commentary, and which was always a fun throwback. And Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins with the ankle lock at the same time in front of Kurt Angle, fun moment. And then Rollins countering a powerbomb into a pedigree was a great spot. Another great match. I would give this about 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Another one of the top fights of the night for sure. And MF, all I can say was the segment was the second, the pre-match thing was the second best segment of the night for me, no doubt about it. Always great to see our boys DX. Also great to see Kurt Angle. And then seeing Kurt Angle with D-Generation X, I mean, that was very interesting. And of course, Kurt Angle and Triple H, we know the history of those two going back to the Attitude Era. And who will ever forget that 5-star classic Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels had at WrestleMania 21. And all the incredible matches, that great trilogy of matches they had. Vengeance 05 and the Monday Night Raw Homecoming, October 3rd of 05 as well. So a lot of great things that came out of this. So second best segment of the night. And then the match, 3.5, 3 3/4 of a star. MF, is it just me, or did we see some possible foreshadowing? MF, could you imagine what a Seth Rollins-Gunther match would be like?
Ooh. Seth Rollins and Gunther one-on-one. That could be a very interesting matchup. Yeah, that, maybe there was some foreshadowing. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but it definitely has a good story to it, and I know a lot of people would love it. So yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So yeah, Anthony, let's move on. Well, it was still a solid match to say the very least. How's that gonna go? We'll find out sooner rather than later. But yeah, it was all right. It was all right, and there's really nothing more to add. So yeah.
You have a star rating for that match?
I'll give it about a solid 3.5, close to 4.
Definitely. So, all right, MF. Let's see what we have up next on the docket here. That was 13:05. All right. And then the poker party continued backstage, and Corbin at another table, and you had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Yes, and it looked like that Corbin had done it, and Corbin and JBL were about to take the money and run. But who came in? Why, it was Ted DiBiase's longtime tag team partner, Irwin R. Shyster, IRS, Money Incorporated, back together. Pay your tax, you tax cheat. Yeah, we all remember that.
Yep.
And IRS took all the money except one little $100 bill. They said, "Hey, you earned it, kid." Oh, Money Incorporated. Oh, boy, were they fun. Let me tell you. And then the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, comes out and introduces his daughter, of course, Charlotte Flair, the SmackDown Women's Champion. And then Charlotte would get interrupted by the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. And I'm like, uh-oh, this has potential to go somewhere. Yeah, Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville comes out and ruins what could have been something really special with Bianca and Charlotte. I was getting excited about that. And then
I actually was too, Anthony, but I understand it. You want to protect both women, so I kind of felt like it was the right thing to do, even though, my God, man, what could have been with that moment there.
Could you imagine? I mean, we talked about what a Seth Rollins and Gunther match would be like. What would a Bianca and Charlotte match look like?
Woo!
Money.
Oh yeah, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good it would have been.
But Sonya Deville ended up going 1-on-1 with Bianca Belair. Bianca wins the match with the KOD. 8 minutes 25 seconds. MF, I would say maybe by default it was the worst fight of the night, even though it wasn't remotely that bad.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No, total agreement. I thought it should have been a little more better, but by default it was the worst fight. But the one thing after, and I need to talk about this, like we need to get into this, is let's talk about Alexa.
Yes.
And what
Alexa
she
showed
did.
up after.
That promo. I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, Bianca's reign is about to come to an end. I truly believe she's losing that belt at the Royal Rumble. And I do believe Alexa Bliss is heading into WrestleMania season as the Raw Women's Champion. Where do they go from there after? I don't know. But that's just a personal thought, and that's what I feel going in. So really nothing more to say. So Anthony, solid match. Like you said, maybe 2.5, but other than that, it's yours.
Hey, after that prediction you just made, and after the prediction that you made when it comes to a certain NFL game this past week, I'm not doubting you. I'm not. So I think you know where I'm going with it.
But, yes.
And still a little bitter about it, but it is what it is. But story for another day.
We'll get into it on Thursday because I got a few more things I want to get off my chest on that.
Yeah.
Not just that, but there's also another game that needs to be addressed.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star for me. A lot of this match took place during a commercial break, so we missed a lot of action. It was fine for what it was, but was nothing too memorable. Sonya Deville is so great at so many things. She should be featured way more often and be getting a much bigger push. Belair hit a backbreaker that did not look very good. She dropped Deville on the side of her knee instead of right in the middle. And the way Belair's body folded in half after Deville hit a kick to the gut. Oof. Yeesh. So, and the crowd was definitely quiet during this, and I don't blame them. So there's that. Then another Cody Rhodes video. We already know Cody Rhodes will be making his return Saturday night at the Royal Rumble. MF, you already made your bold prediction about Alexa becoming the Raw Women's Champion. Allow me to. I see that prediction, and I'm going to raise you with Cody Rhodes winning the Men's Royal Rumble match Saturday night.
Pretty much, almost everybody is picking Cody now. So yeah, no, it's a safe. That's a safe bet. It's not a bold prediction. That is a pretty safe bet. The minute that he declared that he was in the Royal Rumble, practically almost everybody, friends, 2184 crew, practically almost everybody is declaring him the winner of the Men's Royal Rumble. Just like how practically everybody's thinking Rhea Ripley is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble. She is a heavy favorite to win it all.
And we will get more into that Friday night on the Cerebral Smack Talks. So, all right. Miz comes out, runs his mouth. Kevin Owens puts an immediate stop to that. Takes out Miz with a Stone Cold Stunner. Cuts a short but sweet promo on Roman Reigns, and then he stuns Miz for a second time, literally out of the ring. So, and then it led us into the main event of the evening. In what was supposed to be, we thought it was supposed to be a regular match, but earlier in the day they made it a no disqualification match for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Austin Theory defending against Bobby Lashley. Winner of the match, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. And still the United States Heavyweight Champion, Austin Theory. And MF, Theory didn't do it by himself.
Oh, no.
He had some help. And then some.
And the thing was, it wasn't really help. It wasn't help at all for Theory. It's because someone let the beast in the building. Brock Lesnar broke through and was in the Philadelphia. The place went nuts. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell is he doing here? Well, he basically grabbed Bobby Lashley, gave him an F5, and then grabbed Austin Theory, who, oh, by the way, went through a table. And Lashley was well on his way of winning the title. And the next thing you know, he gets F5 right on top of Bobby Lashley for the 1, 2, 3. So it wasn't that Theory won the match because of Brock. It's just you're just at the right place at the right time, and that's why you won the fight. So Brock was being Brock. He just gave him an assist, just like, okay, you know, you were there, so I just wanted to throw your ass around like any other rag doll. So you get the victory. Congratulations. Cowboy hat and everything else. Brock Lesnar comes around and causes damage wherever he comes, and I was like, I almost was like, really? That's how you're gonna end the match? I was like, I love Brock. That was awesome. But come on, bro. Couldn't you do that after the match was over? I mean, no problems with the no DQ. This was a fine match. This was maybe second or third best fight of the night. About 3.5 stars. I would have given it higher, but because Brock was Brock and got involved and kind of caused the well, I wouldn't call it a DQ finish because there are no DQs in this fight, but for his little extracurricular activity, I got to punish it just slightly, but it was still a good match. It was just one of those where I was just like, oh, when I heard the Lesnar music, I was like, oh my God, what the hell's he doing there? Because he was not even announced.
No,
he was not even announced.
No, and this would have been the role reversal. We would still do the Corey and Sean, but I would yell out, "What?" And then you would let out an, "Oh my God!" Yeah, and then you would let out your legendary, "Oh my God!" And then I would say, "Brock Lesnar's here,"
and I'll be like, "Who let the beast in the building?"
And then F5 to Lashley, F5 to Theory, but the thing is, he F5 Theory right on top of Lashley.
Yep.
For the 1, 2, 3. And there's only one logical conclusion, MF, when it comes to Lesnar and Lashley. There's unfinished business. The Crown Jewel match was a whimper, but I got a feeling at SoFi Stadium, if you know what I mean, we're going to get the banger we should have got.
Oh, yeah, WrestleMania. Yep.
Did you say Mania?
I could see Mania.
So that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
WrestleMania.
Game on.
We don't know what night. Because remember, it's 2 nights now.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
will he?
I honestly, I say do night 2.
Mm,
Go for the second night. I would.
it doesn't matter what. Honestly, it doesn't matter what night they do it. But all I know is, based on what we saw tonight, it's got to be Mania. It has to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be Lesnar and Lashley at WrestleMania. The match at Crown Jewel. Ugh, let the bad taste in our mouths. But I got a feeling at Mania, I got a feeling that's going to be the banger that we should have had in Saudi Arabia. So, just my opinion. But you said 3.5 for the match, right, MF? So
Yeah.
All right, I'm right there with you. 3.5 is my rating as well. Another great match, but it was also at the same time, it was also very predictable how everything would go. The crowd popped for Lesnar, so it'll be interesting to see who the WWE Universe will side with when Lashley and Lesnar have their eventual rematch, which we agree will be at WrestleMania. So Miz yelling about not getting a segment only to end up being stunned by Kevin Owens was a good way to use 2 minutes. Crowd pop before KO even made it to the ring. And then as far as this is concerned, Lashley is one of those wrestlers who's going to be called underrated no matter how successful he is. He's that good. And the way Lashley was thrown into the steel steps looked rough, but 3.5 stars, no question about it. 8 out of 10 for this show here tonight. It started out red hot. Best first hour of Raw. You could certainly make an argument it was maybe the best first hour ever. Unfortunately, there were some disappointments. We didn't get Becky and Bayley in the cage. I mean, we would have all loved to have seen that. If we had gotten that match and that had delivered, then we would have been talking a much higher rating. But we probably would have been talking maybe 9 or so. But this is about an 8 or so here. That first hour alone, that's what did it. Especially that's the Tribal Court segment. And then you followed that up with an incredible Raw Tag Team title match, which stole the damn show tonight. That's not to say that the main event wasn't good. And, of course, the main event was good as well. You got that big moment with Lesnar showing up. And then, of course, that impromptu 6-man tag with Seth Rollins and the Street Profits against Imperium. The legends were used perfectly tonight. I'm glad that most of those legends did get screen time, and it was so great to see all those legends. It definitely conjured up a lot of great childhood memories for me, as I'm sure it did with MF as well. So yeah, there's really nothing left for me to say on this. 8 out of 10, I think, is the correct rating for this. I don't think I can go any higher than that. If we had gotten Becky and Bayley in the cage and they had a banger of a match, then we would have been talking much higher. But this is an 8 out of 10. But MF, I mean, it started out great. There were a few things that were we did have a few whimpers in there, but this show mostly was a banger tonight, especially that first hour alone.
First hour alone was 10 out of 10. It was a perfect score. But then you had your standard prototypical Monday Night Raw show for the final 2 hours. And so, yeah, I agree. The 8 out of 10 is the absolute correct rating with the show. They absolutely nailed it. With everything that they needed it to do, they did a great job honoring the legends. So yes, it was correct. No doubt in my mind, there's really nothing more for me to add here. So, Anthony, I guess it's time for the Tony's Take. So it's yours.
All right. Tony's Take time indeed. And at first I wasn't going to do one, but you know what? We got a little time here. So why don't we do the Tony's Take for this evening? Of course, we're going to get into Impact Wrestling. As I try to figure out the okay. Oops, I put the wrong date in. Okay. This show was the fallout from the Hard to Kill pay-per-view from the center stage in Atlanta, Georgia. And we started it off with a very interesting segment. Started with the brand new Knockouts champion, Mickie James, to cut a promo, and she got interrupted by Bully Ray, and they have some words, and then Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans come out, and then all hell breaks loose. Jordynne Grace comes out. Frankie Kazarian. Oh, by the way, Frankie Kazarian back in Impact Wrestling. He's no longer with AEW. He's back in Impact Wrestling, and that brings out the new director of Authority. But he wasn't alone. He was joined by an old Authority figure from the days of WCW, former WCW commissioner and MF. I know it's been a long time since you've seen or heard this name, Ernest the Cat Miller.
Somebody call my mama. I'm a lit.
Ernest the Cat Miller. Yes, that Ernest the Cat Miller. He showed up and he helped Santino make a very interesting 6-person intergender tag team match. Mickie James, Jordynne Grace, and Frankie Kazarian versus Tasha Steelz, Savannah Evans, and Bully Ray. And the winners of the match, I don't have a time of the fall, but the face team, Mickie James, Jordynne Grace, and Frankie Kazarian win the match. 3 stars, solid match. Kazarian surprisingly got very little to show in this match. It was mostly centered around Mickie James and building her up before her next title defense. And Masha Slamovich showed up, and remember, Masha Slamovich won that contenders match at Hard to Kill, so she's next in line. And then from there we had this was a knockout heavy show, by the way. Then we had the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo squaring off against Ashley D'Amboise. Deonna Purrazzo wins the match. Another 3 stars. Solid showing for Ashley D'Amboise. She is a student of the Damian Adams Academy, and I'm hopeful that she'll get signed by Impact very soon because I think she's definitely worthy of being a knockout there. Knockouts action continues. Taylor Wilde squaring off against Killer Kelly. Killer Kelly wins the match. And theme of the night so far, 3 stars. Interesting matchup. Not sure who the heel and who the face was here because both their characters have somewhat heelish tendencies. Taylor continues to look great on her return. Got to be honest with you on that. Then we had Steve Maclin squaring off against Dirty Dango. Steve Maclin wins the match. Another 3-star match. Surprisingly good match. Dango got a good amount of offense in. I'm surprised Dango hasn't been signed by Impact Wrestling, as you would think he's the kind of talent that would fit perfectly within that roster. And then the main event of the evening. This is a good MF Michael Fletcher special. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Kenny King in a pit fight. They took down the ring ropes and the buckles. And these two just went balls to the wall. And Speedball Mike Bailey wound up winning the match. Fight of the night. And this is an early candidate for match of the year. 4.5 stars. Really good match. The great thing about this was that they didn't try to make it a technical MMA wrestling hybrid match that ran the risk of either being boring or seeming too hokey. They worked it like a professional wrestling match, and they had some high spots in there and built tension leading to the finish. They tried something different, and kudos to them for still being able to make the match entertaining in a professional wrestling environment. 8 out of 10. Another good edition of Impact, capped off with a great match between Mike Bailey and Kenny King. 3 knockout matches. They set up Masha Slamovich challenging Mickie James for the Knockouts title. Ashley D'Amboise impressing in her match against Deonna Purrazzo. Killer Kelly getting a win over Taylor Wilde. And I think the Knockouts might be one of the best booked women's division in North America today. And that was certainly on display last Thursday night. I recommend you check out the pit fight match, as both men worked hard to do something different, and they still made it interesting enough in a professional wrestling setting. Definitely got to go out of your way to see that. And it's also an early match of the year candidate on my scorecard, no doubt about it. So with all that, let me set the table for what we can expect this upcoming Thursday on Impact Wrestling, 8 p.m. Eastern on Access TV, 8:30 p.m. the YouTube for those insider members, and then 10 p.m. on Impact Plus. It will be in a match made by Director of Authority Santino Marella, a Golden Six shooter for a shot at the Impact World Championship against Josh Alexander at the next Impact Plus special, No Surrender, February 24. It's going to be Moose versus Eddie Edwards versus Sami Callihan versus Rich Swann versus Rhino versus Chris Sabin. The Death Dolls will defend the Knockouts Tag Team Championships against Giselle Shaw. Trey Miguel is going to defend the X Division Championship against that wily old veteran, Mike Jackson. And then Matt Cardona and Brian Myers will square off against Ace Austin and Chris Bay. That's on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Access TV. If you don't have it, no problem. Go on YouTube. If you have that insider membership at 8:30. And if you have Impact Plus, it gets uploaded to Impact Plus immediately after it's over at 10 o'clock. So you're in good hands. So that's that. One last order of business, and that is NXT Level Up. And let's take a look at what went down on that show. And I can already tell you it was not a good show, by the way. We had Nikita Lyons squaring off against Jakara Jackson. Nikita Lyons wins in 5 minutes and 9 seconds. A bit too long. It probably should have been more of a Lyons squash. Her Lyons comeback was solid, though. I can only give it 3/4 of a star. Damon Kemp went up against Tank Ledger. Damon Kemp in 4.5 minutes. It was a decent Haas fight. Kemp's getting better as his offense is looking crisp, and a big dude that can toss other big dudes around with suplexes works. 1.5 stars. And then we had Odyssey Jones squaring off against Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy wins the match 6 minutes and 2 seconds. I didn't like this one. I still don't see the appeal of Gacy. I mean, Jones looks solid as a big guy, but Gacy winning makes sense here. And I do, and I appreciate commentary bringing up Odyssey Jones' knee surgery. 1 star, 3.5 out of 10. This was not a good show. We all know the show is about getting the kids out there in front of a live audience and letting them get some TV work. Sometimes we get a surprise or two with a decent match, and other times, we had shows like what we had last Friday night. So that was a 3.5 out of 10. So with that will put the bow on this very exciting edition of Ridiculously Raw. As we kick off Royal Rumble week, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. MF, I'm sure it's going to be the same start times for the shows this week, I'm sure. I'll take that as a yes. So, all right. So here we go. Wednesday night, 10:30. We'll next be with you over on MF's channel, BraceFan 95, for another edition of Wednesday Night Madness, as we will review NXT and AEW Dynamite as always. Thursday night, 10:30, TXN Sports World Conference Championship Edition. We'll recap the divisional playoffs, and then we will preview the NFC Championship game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. And we will also preview the AFC Championship game, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs, a rematch of last year. And we'll go from there. And then Friday night, 11 p.m. over on MF's channel, BraceFan 95, a very special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, as we will review Friday night SmackDown, the go-home show for the Royal Rumble. And we will also review AEW Rampage. And then we will preview the 36th annual WWE Royal Rumble. And then we'll figure out when the recap show will be. I'm thinking I don't know if it'll be Saturday night or it might be Sunday night. I don't know. We'll see what MF has to say about it. And then of course next Monday night we do the Fallout. So that's it. So until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness over on MF's channel, BraceFan 95. This is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the Phenom Michael Bullock, and always and forever the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Door to Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye. And happy 30th anniversary, Monday Night Raw. Here's to 30 more.